How can I hear the voice of God, and how will I know that it's God's voice when He does speak and it's not me talking or somebody else around me? That's a great question, one that we get a lot, and it's one that I would love to answer for you right now the best I can based on my own experience of 34 years of walking and growing in my relationship with God, and then also based on my experience as a pastor dealing with people on a daily basis, all of which have had the same struggle of knowing God's voice and knowing that they're hearing God's voice. So take comfort today because you're not the only one that struggles with it. But then also based on my own failures and some successes too, but really a lot of failures. So before I tell you my answer, can I just open up right now and share some failures with you and be very transparent, very vulnerable? You see, because I don't really care if you know that I've got mistakes and I've got issues, because if my mistake helps you, then that's all that matters. So my biggest mistake when it comes to hearing and knowing the voice of God has been that I would feel like this was the voice of God inside of me, but I wasn't in that place yet in my relationship where I could confidently say that it was. And then, in my mind, I'm like, the last thing I want to do is screw this up, right? I don't want to, because like God may be calling you to talk to somebody or go see somebody or something like that, or calling you to go somewhere, whatever it may be. And a lot of times what I've done, especially early on in my relationship with God, is that I was so not confident in it that I would listen to the voices around me more than I would listen to the voice in me. And I would choose to go the direction of which the popular opinion was. And almost immediately, if not just within a few days, I would regret the decision to go down the road that I went down. And what that has taught me is that even in my failures, I can learn to discern the voice of God. Because even when I went down that road and failed, I learned that that was God speaking inside of me. It's just that I didn't realize it yet, and I wasn't confident in that yet. But the good news I also learned is that God is a God of grace and mercy. So He allows me to come back to that place and do it again. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times, even with all the determination, and even though I've said, I am not going to make that mistake again, I'd make the mistake again. And you know what I've discovered is that God is still a God of grace and mercy, and it never runs out. And He lets me come back to that place. And every time I make a mistake, He helps me to learn to discern the voice, His voice, and to be more confident in that moving forward. But we don't just learn to be confident in His voice from our mistakes, because there have been some successes as well. But all of my successes have all come back to the Word of God. I believe that God is always speaking through His Word, the Bible. I believe He always is. You say what? I've read it from cover to cover, and God never spoke to me. Well, God may have spoke to you, just didn't realize that it was God, because it's all about relationship. Now, if you were looking for a magic pill today, I'm not selling any. There is no magic pill. The tough part about this is it is about building the relationship with God. Think about it like this. When a child is born, they don't know how to talk or anything. They cry, and they communicate the best they can based on where they're at and their maturity level. But as they get older, they begin to communicate more. And that communication skill is not just about what they say, but it's also about what they hear. And as they get older, they begin to learn the voice of their parent, right? And to the point that they get so mature in their ability to communicate and hear that they can hear the voice of the parent, even in a crowded room of hundreds of people. They can hear the direction of which their parent is calling them and the instruction that their parent is giving them. You understand how that works? Of course you do, because you've experienced that yourself. It's the same thing in your relationship with God. The more you grow in that relationship, the more you're going to be able to discern that that's God's voice and not the world's voice and not your own voice. Do I still struggle with it? Absolutely. Am I more confident than I ever have been? Yes, I am. But I'm still not perfect, and I'm still not arrived, and it's still a daily thing. But as we grow, we learn the voice of God more and more. So it's all about relationship. I hope that helps you. I hope it encourages you. Love you guys.